Footy's back. Ba-da-da, ba-ba, ba-da-da, ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba. That's right. That sound can only mean one thing. Footy is back. This is Footy Unfilterated. They call me Tropical Jim because footy's back and so am I, back in the freezing cold of a Melbourne winter.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's great to be home.
We've got jackets. Really, you'll need them.
I'm just super stoked. Just, not being 23 degrees every day, seeing sea turtles, jumping into the pool, throwing squids around. Anyway, the really cool thing as well is heading into this episode with me on the other side of this here screen is everyone's favourite only winner of the program today because his team actually had their first win in, I think, 87 years. It's Jez. Jez, what's going on?
Jim, I've just put my clothes back on. I have been doing nude laps ever since the siren went on Sunday. I did say I'd stop at 1, but, I'm so excited that, How good's footy, Jim? How good is it? I didn't even notice that it was 846,000 days since we won a game or a final or anything. It's been 2 days since we won a game. Woo! Go Bombers.
No longer on the bottom of the ladder as well, so we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But round 19 is done. Footy is fully back. We're almost at the final stage, which is really back, I guess. But we are going to wrap up round 19 for you. We've got the weekly awards. We'll fly through those and a couple of quick yeah-nahs, as well as our round 20 preview and picks. It's the full-blown Chockers show, so let's just bloody well get into it. It's
Go Bombers.
What is it, episode 20 of Footy?
Yeah.
Filterated. Oh, man, need to dust out some dust and cobwebs out of the house. I'll tell you what, on top of that, we had 5-6 hours of no power today. Good
That's
time.
rough.
Great memories. But, I mean, congrats to the singer of the band you just heard as well. What did he do, a half marathon over the weekend? I don't know, he just pops up every so often and suddenly he's wearing running gear. And I'm like, oh, he probably went for a big run, didn't he, old that Gaz? Yeah, good on him.
Turned out to be a very, very big run. Nice. Good on him.
Very proud of him. Anyway, we've got some big news in the world of footy this week, Jez.
Do we?
There's always big news in the world of footy each week. It's a big week
even
in footy.
When there's not.
But we've actually got some big ones, real big ones. Because as predicted on this year's show last week, Ken Hinkley is going to be your Tassie Devils inaugural head football coach, which is pretty cool. The Camperdown Ken vibes seem to have won the day over weirdly arrogant Bucks who enjoys kicking his dog. So, yeah, no surprises there, I guess. Then Nathan Buckley came out and go, yeah, look, I was really pretty set on that one, so I don't really want to put my hat in the ring for Carlton or Essendon. And everyone went, oh, geez, Bucks, yeah, that sounds legit, as if...
Yeah, we don't want you anyway, but, thanks.
You couldn't get Tassie. It's like, breaking up with the... it's like, oh, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to, hook up with Sydney Sweeney at all. And Sydney Sweeney's like, who? What? Yeah, nah. So...
we're no rebound, thanks, Bucks. We're no rebound.
But Ken Hinkley, I love it. There was I think the way that the Devils sort of announced this all and sort of laid it all out was very, very smart. They were basically exactly what we talked about last week. Like the simple idea of having someone who's gregarious and has a lot of sort of experience in building up things from not much, as he did in Port Adelaide, Ken Hinkley. Is I don't know, affability, I guess, for sponsors, for fans, for the players, obviously. And it does sort of feel like the right fit. And I think it was actually weird sort of talking this out with you last week about the sort of the Buckley sort of thing and chatting with I'm on holidays, I'm there with my folks and just chatting with the old man. Just being like, put the Collingwood stuff aside. Do you think Nathan Buckley would be a good dude to go have a beer with? Right? What do you reckon, Jez? Yeah, nah.
Nah. No, he doesn't strike you as that sort of, bloke who would talk, have a beer with anyone. I think he'd be selective about his the people he'd sit there and have a nice bottle of Grange with. I can't see him sitting there and drinking a stomping ground pale ale with the likes of us, Jim.
True. I think if you're losing who would you rather have a beer with, Jack Rewalt or Nathan Buckley? If you're losing that competition, you're
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a great look, is it? So, yeah, but I think this is a good move for Tassie. John Longmire misses out again. I sort of think that's okay as well. I feel like he is probably better positioned to take on a more, I don't know, structured, already built up kind of list rather than building it from the, pulling it all up by its own bootstraps and from the studs up. I feel like that's a good Ken spot. So, yeah, look, I think Bucks would have been okay in that spot. I just don't think he's that good of a coach. He never really proved that he was that good of a coach. Whereas Ken, I mean, what is it, 58% win percentage across his career with Port Adelaide. And, yeah, the biggest knock is simply that they just never made a grand final under him. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, that happens, but they were very good for a very long time.
Yeah, and as we discussed last week, your first coach is going to be a whole club coach, whereas with a team like Essendon and Carlton, Essendon, you're probably a bit more of a club coach because they're obviously a basket case, but you need someone who is not afraid to fail. Why is that doing that? Not afraid to fail because that's what they're realistically, that's going to be what happens for the next 3-4 years. So what I think, and the media obviously are the big ones here that miss the point of the type of coach you need. You don't need that win now mentality because you're not going to win now. No matter how well you build the list, you're going to win down the track if you get the first part right. And I think Ken, he's likable. Like you listen to him on the commentary, you watch him in his press conferences when he was coach. Even now, when he's cheeky, he's got that bit of larrikin about him, and I think that endears him, especially to the Tassie people, because they're a hard bunch, and it's you've still got two sides of Tasmania. You've got the north and the south who still don't like each other. So he's got a massive job to unite them and get them around a footy club, which I think if anything's going to do it, it's going to be footy. So, as they've been spruiking, mate, Ken Oath, have they made the right job? Right decision? Ken Oath. I'm on board.
The right bloke. I think the cool, like he has sort of laid out, look, this is the sort of fun stuff where you get to go and be like, part of the inaugural sort of team, and how cool it is that in 100 years you'll be there as like, part of the start of it all. And that's pretty neat. And I think the biggest people don't sort of like pay attention to too much, I think, is just Tassie goes absolutely ham for their sporting teams, right? Like the Jack is, you can't buy a ticket. Like it's like,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Nothing to trying to get to a game against for the Jackies down there in Tassie, and it's just super duper hard. So, it's really like deities down there because it's like there's not a giant amount else sort of going on, and they froth it. So that's really cool. So I love that. I love that for Ken. Love it for the Devils. Very smart. I did enjoy
it for footy.
The Brendan Gale takeover of their socials over the weekend.
That was good.
Very funny as well. So didn't mind that. Otherwise, other bits and bobs of news. Bobby Hill, fare thee well, I guess.
Yeah.
One of my great wins actually was the Bobby Hill Norm Smith medal call. So
nice.
Pretty happy with that one at the time. But yeah, it doesn't feel like he's going to be seen again. It's a strange one. Always a strange situation where you go completely MIA and you got Craig McKee, very well-spoken, thoughtful guy. Yep, haven't seen him for a while, and you sort of just hope for the best and just wish him well. And you're like, oh, it's that bad, is it? Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Sort of read between the lines. He hasn't been there all year. So
no, it's sad because he's clearly on his day a gun. So we're going to be poorer for it, even though he did do it in a Collingwood jumper. We're going to be poorer for it, not seeing the Bobby Hill at his best. I hope he does make a comeback to footy and whatever it is that's forcing him out of the game is, gets to a position where he can get back, even if it's local footy. You hate to see people lost to the game fully, especially someone as talented as him. So all the best, Bobby.
Fare thee well. Fare thee well. We got a couple of fines for staging over the weekend, which is pretty funny, including my beloved Patrick Cripps. That was a bit of a flop.
Yeah.
We also got another one. I can't remember who that was actually off the top of my head, but we got Lockie.
I think it was Norton. Yeah, the Lockie Ash one. I came across this just as I was sort of getting ready to come on, and he's been fined $5,000 for umpire abuse, where they've actually upped it from the abusive language to the next level because it was directed at a female umpire.
Jeez.
That's what the article I read off Seven News's website said, which I'm a little bit torn on, Jim, because whilst I understand the need for, I've got to be careful about the way I say this, for us to, respect women and umpires and female umpires at levels below the AFL, I don't believe that Lockie Ash was going off at her any harder because she's a woman. I believe he would have done the same had it been a male umpire, because the free kick was very dubious, and it ended up going ways to cost him the game. So I think that was more of the situation for Lockie Ash, and I would like to think that that's the case. I don't believe he would have gone harder because she's a woman. However, in the lower levels, the reality is there are dickheads who do go harder at the women as umpires, whatever, trainers, whatever they are. We both know, we've seen it. We know it's a part of our society that is, needs a lot of work from a lot of people. But so I'm a little bit torn. As far as the looks it goes, I'm okay with it, because I think it sends a message to the lower levels that umpire abuse is not okay, regardless of whether they're male, female, or whatever. Yeah. So and look, let's be honest, Lockie Ash can afford $5,000. I'm not going to lose any sleep over him being fined that. I just was a little bit when I saw the way they'd upped it because she was a woman. But yeah, so it sort of intrigued me a little bit, I guess you could say. So yeah.
Well, I think most of that's got to come down to the simple
Jim's
idea of the language used, right?
You lose me.
I think you dropped for a bit, but you're all right. What is it? All right. So I think most of it's all simply going to come down, I think, Jez, right, to whether or not the language was gender-based, right? Like if there's something sort of that is specific to that umpire, then it's upgraded to misconduct rather than just the sort of usual abuse. So you got to figure that some word has been used in there that he probably should not have used. And when it is sort of targeted and directed, I'm actually fine with them throwing a bigger fine at you. So
and look, if that is the case, I think they probably need to say that. Because the article I read was purely because it was directed at a woman. And again, I don't actually have an issue with that. I just found that it's a bit of an odd way that it's been reported, I guess, because it sort of seems like, oh, well, you can yell and scream at an umpire, but if it's a female, you have to, you have to be a bit quieter about it or something like that, which, as I said, it's something that's a little bit of a grey area, and probably I'm on the okay side for it anyway. Obviously, given what's some of the other news that's been in the media about domestic violence and whatnot, I think we should probably leave that one alone, Jim, because I don't think there's any need for us to go over that one.
I think
domestic violence is no good, so I guess we can probably leave it at that.
But yeah, so if it's targeted abuse towards, an umpire based on something about them, look, I'm fine with it being upgraded. And again, to use a phrase, protected species that is a bit hot in the streets right now. To be fair, this is a really good way of stamping out like umpire abuse.
Yes.
Like just keep finding him.
Yep.
Simple as that. Same goes for staging.
Yep.
Keep finding him. Very simple. It's like one of the things, soccer can be fixed that way. Basketball can be fixed with flopping. Just keep finding him, Jez. Very easy. Right. Other stuff. We got some reports. Fogarty, he got 3 weeks for his hit. That was a pretty tough one because it concussed Harry Cunningham. So
yeah,
probably tracks, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so.
You had Liam Baker as well out for a week. A hit.
Yeah, that was fair enough too.
And yeah,
I think that was it.
And I think there was just a bunch of other fines, and that was kind of it. So the big ones are the injuries this week. Bit of a tough one. Max Holmes, his foot went that way and his leg went that way. It was not
syndesmosis.
So
syndesmosis.
Yep, syndesmosis and a bit of ankle surgery for the Pride of Geelong, which sucks. Also, look, they hadn't been looking great.
No.
And he's been fine and very, very good all year. He and Basilenka. This is, not a good spot for Geelong at the moment, I reckon, Jez. Losing him. Just absolute, the little engine that could, just like a class above like the rest of their sort of midfield package apart from Bailey Smith, really. And, you sort of worry about their depth being tested ever more because, they were fine for the tall timber really without Jezza Cameron. But, losing like that extra midfielder makes me a little bit more worried about Geelong heading into finals. They haven't ruled him out for the full final series or anything as well. So we'll sort of see how he goes.
I think I heard Chris Scott.
It's not great.
Chris Scott say today that he could be available if they made it very deep into the finals. So that to me says if they make a grand final, he'll play. If he's walking, I suppose. He's unlucky. He's just unlucky. He
is. He's a gun.
Yeah, absolute gun.
The one that hurt me the most was Big H. Hooray! That was horrible.
Yeah.
Just a sort of a weird, innocuous knee knock and, a little bit of a tear in the meniscus and a bone bruise. And you're like, geez, that's a lot for not much, it seemed like. But, the bloke couldn't walk, so that's not good. But they've also not ruled him out for this week.
Yeah,
so we'll see how he goes.
Having
recovery time,
having torn both my meniscuses, I couldn't walk properly for about a month due to the swelling. So, and I'm clearly not a AFL Coleman medalist anymore.
Oh, come on! I feel like you're selling short there, Jez.
Well, look,
it's like I'm clearly not as good as Harry Mackay. It's like I don't know.
I did say anymore. We do age, and Essendon just won't return my calls at the moment for some reason. But anyway, we'll move on. I can't see how he plays if he's torn his meniscus and he's got bone bruising. I don't know if you've done a meniscus, but it feels like you've got a rolled up tea towel behind your leg and basically wedged in there. That's the type of swelling it is, and it's so uncomfortable, and it affects your just walking. Like you feel like your knee's going to give way, even though it's only this tiny little tear. It's a pain in the ass. That's basically what it is. If he plays, maybe it's just a bit of, Josh Fraser's taken a bit of the old Kevin Sheedy approach and it's the Windy Hill flu. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because if GWS hadn't have lost to Essendon and Carlton weren't still with an actual sniff at the top 10, then you just go, look, season's done. Pack her up, boys. We're all over. But Yeah, the Blues are still within a bit of a shot, so it's a bit of a strange one. The good news coming out of that one, though, as well, so we'll get to the game wraps in a sec, but the Blues were down two of their sort of key cogs with Adam Chera as well, sort of being sat with a hammy. And yeah, he was all cleared apparently, which is a bit weird considering that he's had nothing but soft tissue injuries sort of non-stop throughout his entire Carlton tenure. And this looked just like another one. Then like, nah, the imaging was all good. I'm like, how many did you go back over it? Did you
just double check?
Maybe just do it again. Just saying, just have
measure twice, cut once.
I think the simple idea, like Chera, Newman, the sort of, even when Blakers is playing for the Blues, there's like a level of class that they sort of just bring, sort of operating around the wings and coming out of defense that just makes a really, really big difference. So even if Chera, like I could probably beat him in a foot race at this point, even if he is slower than a draft horse, like you'd sort of you kind of still want him out there. So fingers crossed he's okay. Then a bunch of other ones. Sean Manor from Werribee, another tough one for Geelong. A bit of a hammy issue. It doesn't really, like, basically they were rubbing down everybody on that Geelong bench during that game, right? Mark O'Connor, Sean Manor, Holmes goes out after that as well.
I'm pretty sure I saw Billy
like sort
Brown
of a
was
non-stop
getting
sort of train
rubbed down while he was putting away half a dozen dim sims. So they were really getting into him down there.
Barry Stoneham rocks up and goes, come on, me next.
Doug Wade.
Toby Green. Toby Green is out for a few weeks as well.
Yeah, it sucks as well.
Really weird one too. So he misses the Derby this week. Or is it a Derby? I can never remember which one's the Derby and which one's the Derby, but
Derby,
rough one for GWS. Doubly rough. They've just lost to Essendon, but yeah, not great. Daniel Turner, Disco, he's out for a month as well. Jaeger Amira's out for a couple of weeks. Xavier Dersma's done for the season. Harry Cunningham, obviously, had the concussion from the fog hit. Jacob Hopper is done for the season. Nate Caddy, he survived a bit of a heart flutter, which was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it, Jess?
He's just got a heart so big and he was giving so much for his team that it nearly exploded. So they just had to calm him down and, bucket of hot water over him. Bucket of cold water over him and just, it's all right, mate. Calm down. There you go. Have your open chaff and back in your stable. No, it was a bit odd, and it looked like he copped the elbow to the chest, but it's thankfully he's looks like he's probably going to be good to go next week. So not that it really matters.
Nice. And Max King might be back for the Saints. So having had a little bit of a I don't know. They desperately sort of need a few reinforcements to the Saints. So that's pretty good, I guess. It'd be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Quickly. The round 19 game wraps. Last Thursday, the Cats got by the Saints down at Taxpayer Stadium, 102-75. Again, it feels like about a million years ago that this game actually happened. But the Cats, despite losing bodies left, right, and centre, it was like in a fitting tribute to Lionel Messi. You had Brian Myers back out there in his return, carving him up and going absolutely off his head, just to prove to Jared Waitley that yes, he is, as Waitley rightly pointed out, reportedly, the Lionel Messi of the AFL. They were so good. The Cats look so good, and then Holmes goes down. And you're like, jeez, but they just blanketed the Saints. The Saints just couldn't move the ball. It felt like, and Naz as well held, and it's the Oisin Mullen experience every time you play the Cats, and yeah, it was a bit of a sort of a much needed sort of Cats settling of the ship more than anything, right? So good win, you'll take it, and sort of hope that you can sort of cruise to the end of the season and stay within spitting distance of that top little bit, because they're in ninth at the moment now, the Cats still. Because of the Pies have got the draw, so they're sneakily just ahead of them. But I think still there within a game of 7 and only 2 games out of the top 4. So interesting sledding here for Geelong. They've got a pretty decent run home, but yeah, a bit of a weird one. Whereas the Saints, Would have been handy to win that, but they didn't. Friday, we had Sydney Adelaide. This game was an absolute belter because it bucketed down at the SCG, Jess.
Oh, yeah.
Chaos.
It was absolutely flogging down. And I did not see this one coming. I think this is close to almost as big of an upset as, maybe not quite, but as GWS beating Freo. I thought Sydney were, this was going to be an easier win, but the Crows, they're just hanging on to top four, aren't they? Like they're doing everything they can to miss out, but then they just do enough to stay in there. It was a cracker.
So by the time the Swans took control again in the third quarter, because they were down plenty in the first half, you're like, what is going on? And they sort of settled again. The Crom didn't kick a goal in the third quarter. You're like, aha, there they are.
Yeah.
But then they kicked 5 in the fourth quarter and ran away with the game. It's like that's probably how you should do it, I guess. If you're the Crom, you had Fogg kicking absolutely everything. Like Rankin was absolutely magnificent in this game. Dawson didn't actually do too much against his old team. Like didn't really. I don't know. It's always weird in the wet games, right? It's like really hard to sort of exert your control in a really meaningful way, be really efficient and do all that sort of stuff. But it's sort of like one of those games where you look at him and go, ooh, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, but still, Rankin was awesome. Peatling and Saligo as well doing really, really good stuff. And this was an absolute like, oh, no, guys, we're pretty good kind of win from the Crom.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It just, I think that's the Adelaide that they can be, and all the other stuff like losing to the Power and stuff like that is just them not quite. I think the biggest problem that they've got is they've got these 3 key forwards who are guns, but they can't play all 3 of them. And I think they've got to work out which 2 they're going to go with for the rest of the year. And I think we might have seen who they're going to go with, which is Thriller and, well, clearly it's not going to be the Fog for the next 3 weeks. But I think when the push comes to shove, it'll be the 2 young'uns, and Tex might find himself as the emergency replacement if one of them goes down. And to be fair, I think that's probably not a bad thing.
I think it's fine. I think it's completely
I think
fine.
they played better with those 2 in the team and him not there. And look, they've just beaten second on the ladder, so stick with it.
Yep. Freo smoked Port, but not a massive smoking in terms of smokings that we've seen. Port without a whole bunch of their good dudes. 103-75. It's like fine, sure. Just do your thing, I guess, Freo. Yeah. Like it was perfectly cromulent, this win. They were down at the half, and you're like, this could be a bit of a boil over. And then Freo just went, do you want to see these clamps? I use these clamps every day of my freaking life. What are you, a freaking idiot? You freaking moron? They then kicked 3 goals the rest of the game, whereas Freo kicked 9.
Yeah.
And that'll do, pig. Yeah. That'll do kind of vibes.
I saw a bit of carry on about this.
Third quarter.
Yeah. I saw a bit of carry on about this
what they do.
About how Freo have been, you've got some bad habits. It's what they've been doing all year, though. They've just been, they're doing what they have to do to get by, the teams they have to get by without, they've had a couple of massive wins where they've blown teams away and said, hang on, if we want to, we can do this. I'm not worried about them. They're still way ahead as flag favourites as far as I'm concerned. So all you media and knob heads can just shut up and enjoy footy.
All right, I'll try.
Except you, Jim. You're not allowed to enjoy footy.
I was so upset by this game. The Roos looked really good early, and then they stunk it up in the second half. Ended up getting curb stomped by the Demons until the very end, where they were like, maybe we should try again, and just a bit of puckering there for the Demons, and nearly got my I think they were 14.5-point underdogs when we picked this last week, and what did they lose by 16 I think. Yeah. 76-92. The Demons win, big second half. Really, really good win where you've got your young, tall timber going off their head in Van Rooyen and Jefferson, and they just went absolutely ham. And this is what you want from the D's. You want to see wins at Marvel. And for the first half, I'm like, it's happening. They're going to lose. They're not at the G. And then they won. And I'm like, Clarko, what are you doing? You're killing me.
Yeah.
And that basically, despite them being on 32 total points with the 8 wins, they are in the same boat as like Carlton, GWS, and the Saints at the moment.
And their percentage is the worst of all four by, well, they're pretty much equal with Carlton, but they're a good 10% behind the Giants. So it's going to be hard. But, I mean, look, if you look at the positive, Jim, they've won 8 games. And there's every chance that they could end up with 10 wins. And I think we both picked them to win about 6 to 8. So I don't know. I know it looks bad at the moment, but I think they've definitely made a step forward. But it remains to be seen how big of a step that's going to be.
Yeah, well said. I think the flip side for the Demons is like, that's to get these sorts of wins on the road in Marvel. It's just
down the road.
You have to do it, and like this actually, and just like make sure you actually do the damn thing. So good on them.
I mean, the D's are now they're a game off second spot and percentage. They're 6th on percentage behind Brisbane and Adelaide, and half a game behind Hawthorn. So they're in a great spot now. They're pretty much, I don't want to say they've sealed it, but they're pretty much guaranteed a wild card spot at least. So that's a good outcome for them too.
Yeah.
Go on, Jim, next game.
Absolutely. The Pies 90, Carlton 69. Nice. This was not a nice game. This was a horrible game. There was a couple of moments where the Blues would pile on like 3 goals. They gave up the first 3. I think they then took a lead. They then gave up a bunch of goals. They then came flying back, took a lead, gave up a bunch of goals, ended up losing. It was pretty frustrating watching them try to like pinpoint kick to Brodie Kemp and then him just spraying the ball everywhere. And you're like, oh, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And realizing that there's no other remote kind of threats down forward for the Blues. That wasn't great.
Blatantly obvious, wasn't it?
Didn't like, we had more, I think more inside 50s than the Pies. We had more clearances, but I think it's the same as the game that you and I went to earlier in the season where just their ease of ball movement around the ground versus, despite the new Josh Fraser game plan, like the Blues having possession of the ball for a fair whack of it, it was almost playing, I think Collingwood understood the Carlton game plan pretty well and executed really well against it. And that's sort of the thing like a veteran team like this can do, despite them having a bunch of kids in this team too, missing half their back line. Like there's fundamental processes built into their system that they do this every so often. You're like, oh my God, the Pies are just so hard to beat. And then random games, they'll sort of stink it up, but this is their 5th win on the trot. And they've sort of just hit a nice little patch right now. And it's sort of,
they just do the basics.
The worrying outcome, I guess.
They just do the basics well. And like that gets them the wins against the teams they should beat. It's the teams that put the pressure on them and their game style that they tend to crumble against because of, where they're at. But and as you said, I've watched them twice live, and they beat your Blues the first time when you and I went, and then I watched them on the King's birthday, the big freeze. And even though they lost that game, the possession and the pressure that Melbourne put on them, really, they couldn't cope with it. But when they had the game on their terms, they just do the basics well. And I think a lot of that stems from, obviously, they've got an absolute generational superstar in the middle who doesn't do a lot wrong, let's be honest. So I think, look, it was a garbage game, but I think Carlton, they shouldn't be too down on that considering what was happening at the start of the year. I think they've definitely made some moves in the right direction with Josh Fraser there, and it was an average game and not a great loss, but I wouldn't worry too much about that one.
You said one thing in there that was perfect, and it was pressure.
Yeah.
And there was apart from our little man, Taylor Byrne, with his tiny little legs, doing good tackles.
Jeez, they were
and
pumping.
like absolutely just nailing.
They were just like,
it was amazing. I saw some crabs on the beach up in far north Queensland. It's like Taylor Burns just everywhere. 72 to 48 tackles.
Yeah, crazy.
And just the pressure was brutally not there for the Blues. And like that was it. When they had those purple patches and when they were manufacturing goals sort of out of nothing, it came when that pressure was right up there too. And when it wasn't there, the Pies were able to dictate terms.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it leaves the Blues on the outer, really having to win a lot of these remaining games to have a crack at like getting 10th spot. Probably too many of them. What are you going to do? Yeah. You get that on the big jobs. But still, West Coast also 69. Brisbane 93. Flip it and reverse it almost. This was a weird game as well because the Eagles had the going of it for a big chunk of this. Harley Reid, like though, pinged his ankle. He was getting cheesy every time he sort of went back out and sort of anywhere near the field and then slipped over on the bench.
Oh, that was horrible.
It was chaos.
He did not look happy.
Pretty funny.
He did not look happy. He looked like he wanted to just fend off the first person that come near him. It could have been the coach would have copped it.
Chucked a wobbly at the bench. It's like, mate, it's the ground. Have you walked much? Like, just take a step. That's all it needs. But anyway, this was just clinical Brisbane in that second half, though, where they just sort of overran them and stymied the J train, Jakey Waterman, who was running rampant early, and then just put him to the sword. And Kyle Lohman was absolutely everywhere, causing all sorts of havoc. And yeah, again, this is like 6-goal third quarter. They just went 1-2 Costa Zoo, and
much like Freo, just
by almost
did what they had to do to get out of it as with as little damage as possible. It
was like Neil and Ashcroft both had 32. Dunkley was everywhere as well. I remember in that one. So because I was watching a bunch of this just as Carlton was stinking it up, I'm like, oh god. So I'm going to switch it over. Sunday, this one doesn't matter much. Richmond 2, Hawthorn 122. Was it Mitch Lewis who kicked 5? First time he's done that in years, which is fantastic.
5 in the first half and then disappeared, tagged out, and I believe it was the Wizard that kicked 5 in the second half.
Unbelievable stuff. The Hawks, look, when they do this to bad teams, it is very impressive.
Yeah.
And they also do it to good teams sometimes. The question is, can they continue to do it? That's going to be the big thing for them. But a nice little percentage booster at the top of the table. They're now 118.4 overall, which just edged them ahead of the Lions.
Well, they've got the half game,
and that's
the half game from the draw as well
because of the draw.
So that helps them. But obviously, if there's another draw by one of those teams below, it gives them the edge there, which is it's always handy. The percentage is always handy. Doesn't matter where you're at.
Always. Then we had Gold Coast. Absolutely no show that second half against the Dogs. This was as a Suns fan. It just
aren't you a paid up member?
Just makes you sad. I am.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do when I go on Saturday, taking the whole family to the Suns Blues game, and I was going to be in the red visor and like the Blues top. Just can't do that now because the Suns are just execrable. They got up just before halftime. It was tied up. Dogs then give up, the first goal, and you're like, oh, God, what is going on? All right, the Suns, they might have, and then it just went completely sideways on them, and the Dogs absolutely belted them. Jed Walter, my beloved grown adult son, nowhere to be found in this game. This was
they're a worry.
Not great.
Well, they're actually a worry, the Gold Coast going forward, beyond this year. But I'd hate to need to use the disabled toilet at people's first. Yeah, I'd hate to need to use it at people's first because you'll have a whole heap of people wearing Gold Coast jumpers cutting you off.
It's tough. They stink.
Yeah,
and it's crazy how much of a U-turn this team has taken from the start of the season, and they just look disjointed. There's absolutely no flow to their game. Like, it is.
They got rid of all their role players.
They were such a joy to watch.
They got rid of all the role players, and when the going gets tough, they're the ones that keep you going, and they're all now playing for other clubs. Or yeah.
Yep. All right, it's a good one for the Dogs though. That's the Suns. Like that's now put them a game behind North, the Blues, the Giants, and the Saints. They're basically cooked at that point,
and that puts the Dogs
having to make up a game on those.
Yeah, and that puts the Dogs in.
Dogs firmly back up there as well. Like,
they're 7th, and they're a game behind the 3 previous mentioned, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Melbourne. But they do have a lot of percentage to make up from that month that we shall not talk about. But yeah.
Yep. And then finally, 67-64. The Essendon Bombers have their first win in Melbourne for over a year, which is crazy. Jez.
Okay, Jim.
The flag, the scarf, the background is there, the top's on, it's chaos.
I was, as I said, I was pretty noisy I didn't end up going to the game. I decided that I probably should go and watch my son play football. Wish I had gone to the game, but as I said to my daughter, and she said it to me several times, if we had gone, Dad, we probably would have lost. I went, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We spoke about this in the Carlton and Collingwood game, but the pressure. This was the one thing that Essendon haven't had for, well, what was it, 99 days. We had the pressure from the get-go. I think we won the first 3 quarters, and if you hark back to last week when we won the last quarter, that was probably our first full 4-quarter performance over 2 weeks. I did put my hands over my head in my hands and go, it's happening again when the Giants hit the front late in the quarter. But thankfully, a certain Giant couldn't hit the middle of the goals and couldn't do it 7 times, and I was quite happy with that. But just it was the young kids that did it. Like Zerrett was obviously he got a sniff of victory and decided he'd have a crack this week, which was great. But it was the young kids: Dyson Sharp, Jacob Farrow, Sully Roby, all these guys. The 2 little fellas down forward, Huss Elchecker and Kako, were unreal. Even Caddy was having a crack before his heart almost exploded. It was good to see. The older brigade sort of stood up and could obviously sense there was something, and it was worth them actually having a crack, which was nice for once. But I think the best part was it was the young fellas who drove this, and the pressure, but the tackles. You had these 2 little fellas in the forward line, Alchecker and Kako, who I think one had 11 tackles and the other had 8 tackles. So, you've got almost 20 tackles for 2 guys. That's forward line pressure that you need in AFL footy. And the fact that they're obviously not able to do it consistently, but the fact that they do it from time to time shows that it's part of their game style and part of something that they will develop as they get on. So, Jim, I could honestly do a whole episode on this game and all that. So I'm going to cut it there because I've got a few other. Obviously, my awards might be heavily Essendon influenced, so I think we should probably move on and get to those.
So they'd won one of their last 30 games.
Yeah.
It's Dean Solomon's first win as a caretaker coach as well. He was also a caretaker up in Gold Coast. Remarkable scenes.
First win in Melbourne since May last year.
May 2025. That is crazy. So, yeah, good stuff.
Way to go, somehow we're not on the bottom of the ladder anymore. Go figure.
No. The funniest thing is, like, if you're suddenly costing yourself draft spots.
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep winning, boys. Keep winning. Got to prove it to them.
Got to get 5 wins and cost ourselves a top 2 pick.
It's called doing a North. That's what they did in the Harley Reid sweepstakes, right? Gablet areas. Let's do some awards. This one was easy for me. Dacos against the Blues. I mean, he was everywhere. Lachie Neale was also really, 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 really good at the same time, obviously, against the Eagles. Really good game from him, but Dacos was absolutely everywhere. Just sort of controlled it. There's sort of like just like this sort of preternatural kind of vibe about how sometimes he'll just sort of spin out of something and then boom, it's like a pinpoint pass inside 50 and suddenly it's like Membry on the end of it.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, God, I hate Membry. God, I hate the Day guy, but God, that was good. So, yeah, Dacos for me. How about you, Jez?
Oh, I gotta go with Zeret. After a few very, very lean weeks and looking disinterested, I think he was one of the he jumped on board with the young fellas and he did everything that he's done for his entire career up until this year for the Bombers, and he looked like he's gone. You know what? I've got one more 4 years before I sail off into the sunset, and it was a vintage Zeret game. So he's mine this week.
Good one. Who am I buying a beer this week? It's John Longmire. It's just like he's gone through this entire process. He gets pipped at the line by Camperdown Ken. And John Longmire is going to be like, I'm affable. I'm fun. And everyone's like, no, you're not. No. That's Ken Hinkley. He's kind of fun. He's kind of nice to be around. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're a good coach.
Yes.
But don't know about that. So
that's about
buy him
it.
a beer.
Yeah.
All right, come home to Carlton and we'll set up Josh Fraser, your assistant, and you can, be here for 4 or 5 years and off we go. Who are you buying a beer,
buy
Jez?
one for Solly, Dean Solomon. He was one of my favourite players back in his playing days. I just used to love the way he went about it, and it was good to see him so happy on the sidelines at the end. He's as you mentioned, he didn't win a game when he was caretaker for the Suns, and he's probably, to be fair, probably had it a bit tougher than what Brad Scott even had it with availability and whatnot. Not sure if he's a senior coach, but I was glad to see him at least get one win out of his caretaker stints, because I think it might be the last one he has. But I'll buy him a beer and say, thanks, mate. Thanks for all your troubles.
I like it. Old mate, no mates for me is obviously Bucks. Doesn't get the gig. Very funny. But also he's old mate, no mates because, again, who's mates with Bucks?
Yeah.
Like, the dude just strikes me as very weird, very arrogant, very strange. And then he has quotes like the one that he had where he's like, I went home, kicked the dog, threw the toys out of the cot because I was really keen on it. I'm like,
that's a bit...
What?
Yeah, that's brutal. And, I don't know if you want...
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we understand that you're joking. But the person who says that I went home and kicked the dog is probably someone who's actually gone home and kicked the dog.
So he's a sort
of... I wouldn't say... if you were like, hey, Jim, did you get that job that you were excited about? I'm like, nah. So I came home, booted Larry up the arse, and then gave the kids behind the ears. He'd be like, Jesus, Jim, are you right? I'm like, no, I'm a bit cut up. If you're joking about kicking the dog, I feel like you've kicked the dog, haven't you? I reckon you might have there, Bucks.
The next step is joking about, teaching your son about domestic violence. We're heading... it didn't. It definitely doesn't make me want to buy him a beer. Put it that way.
A bit old mate, no mates. Spot of the week. This one was easy for both of us, I reckon. You were reveling in it. The package did not deliver.
Bet.
As Jake Stringer went 0 of 7. Well, 0 and 7 rather. So he goes 0 goals, 7 points, going very close to breaking the record, which is, I think that's also the most, though, at least shots on goal without kicking a major in 20 plus years, which is insane.
Yep.
But 0 and 7. Now, Jess.
Yes.
If you were me and you'd laddered Jake Stringer the package in some sort of potential wager to kick 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals, and possibly even 6. And then he goes out and goes over. I think you're going to win Spud of the Week in an absolute canter.
Unanimous.
I was just could not believe this. Absolutely shocking gear. How did you, you're watching this, are you just you've got to be delighted.
I was certain he was going to be the one that kicked the goal that won them the game. And every time he missed, I was just like that Vince McMahon meme. Yes, yes. And then that was me with him missing goals. And I think I messaged you saying how good it was. And you obviously were not as happy as I was, given your betting situation. But it just could... anyone else and I wouldn't have been as happy. But the fact that it was him was just... it made my Sunday. It really did.
It's amazing. So he's the first one to go 0 goals 7 since Justin Longmuir in 2003. And the fifth player ever to have 8 shots at goal and not kick one. Ever. It's just...
Hello?
I'm just not happy. Not happy, Jan. And here we are. Anyway, you get that one on the big jobs, I guess. The package had been dropped off, and I think we got porch pirated on that one there, Jez. All right, how about a better than Bootsma there, Jez? I've got Matthew Jefferson for the D's, was awesome on the weekend. So the other one was like, I've already talked a lot about Jagger Smith, but Jefferson popping up and being like, hey, I'm also really good next to Van Rooyen was very, 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 very handy for the D's and kind of exactly what they need. So I don't know, sort of keep that up. It'd be kind of handy. Whereas Jagger was just absolute monster in that game, which I really enjoyed. How about you?
Well, I got a duo. I mentioned him earlier, but Dyson Sharp was just, he's exactly what we need. And he's going to be that hard ball winner for a long time, I can see. And I've already mentioned him this year. I think he's going to be a superstar, and he showed me why again, kicked his first couple of goals, Jacob Farrow. So those two are my joint better than Bootsmas.
Love it. Some quick yeah-nahs. What do we got? Does James Sicily need to pull his head in? Oh, this is one of the Draymond questions as well, right? So he plays with such passion, and that's what fuels him. So I don't know. He could probably do it being like 15% less of an absolute bell end. Yeah, nah. What do you reckon, Jez?
Yeah. I think his antics are going to cost him when it hurts. And you know, you put a target on your back when you carry on like he does. It's not the NBA where they let Draymond get away with murder. They actually don't like murderers in the AFL and will probably go harder on him. He'll end up having the Toby Green or with a James Sicily rule. If he does it, yeah, he's right. There's double standards because you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, just pull your head in and don't do the stuff you do, and guess what? You won't get in strife.
Yep. The cool thing is they're playing Essendon this week, and like there's no history there, so it's all good.
No, none whatsoever. No lines in sand or anything.
Is that it for GWS? Is that it for Carlton? Yeah, nah. I reckon it probably is for both.
Yeah.
Just if you look at their sort of remaining schedules, both don't really have a giant amount sort of going their way. Like Carlton have probably got a decently winnable-ish kind of game this week.
Yeah.
And GWS got the Swans. It's rough.
Which, the thing is, though, and we'll obviously get to it in our previews, but they could quite easily win that one.
Yep.
But they could also get done by 100 points. It's just the magic that is GWS.
And then the next week, Carlton play Brisbane, but that is actually down here at least, which is slightly handier.
Stranger things have happened.
They have, but not at Marvel. And I think GWS go to Adelaide Oval to take on Port.
Yeah.
Not exactly easy at the moment. I mean, they're playing spirited. Then we've got Carlton playing at Marvel against St Kilda, which is always just a bugaboo team. At Marvels, especially, it's just never a good time. And GWS go for the Expansion Cup in, I want to say Canberra, I think that is. Again, not exactly an easy one, but winnable.
Tough one.
Then they've got the Eagles the week after, and then the Blues have got the Dogs, who they've already beaten this year, but I don't know. And then Carlton have got Freo in the last round, and GWS have got the Crom in Adelaide. So I kind of feel like both of them don't have too many wins left on that schedule. There might be one or two sort of floating around, whereas the Saints, I feel like got the inside track.
Yeah.
They're probably, despite the injuries, probably still playing decent-ish enough. And the Roos might be the sneaky one, I think. With you sort of look at the way that they sort of come home, you sort of, what is it? I think they go, here we go. They've got the Saints next week, tough. Hawthorn, Dogs, Cats, Swans. So ignore that because they're going to get belted in all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be all three of them, and the Saints have got the inside track. There was a reason why I said they had the inside track. At GWS, I think the bigger nah is there a team that has a bigger gulf between their best and worst football? Nah.
Nah. How can you beat the eventual premiers of 2026 and then lose to easily the worst team of the year
It's
up
crazy.
to that point?
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
We've also got a good listener nah as well. Jez, I think that's from Davey H. Is that right?
Yeah, that's one. So he's got a nah for us. He says, NBA Australia has Austin Rivers, the most punchable man in the NBA. AFL equivalent has to be Tom Papley. Nah. You reckon, Jim?
So it is easily Tom Papley because the carry on, the silliness, just the Tom Papliness of him. It is kind of that. The tricky part is he's punchable, but he's also good, right? There's sort of like the kind of fun thing about Austin Rivers is, again, to use protected species again, his dad, this anointed kind of thing, getting all this money to go to play for his dad's team on the Clippers. Wildly punchable because he's got the mouth, but he doesn't quite have the talent to really back it up. Like he's not actually a star, whereas Papley at least has a really, really good run in him every so often where you're like, ooh, Tom Papley's awesome at footy sometimes, right? Yeah. So it's a good one, though. I think it's probably the simple idea of the most punchable. I think it's Papley and a canter, right? Like I don't think anyone even really comes close.
I'm going to explore this one a bit. I think it might need a bit of actual research as to punchables and maybe some candidates for the next show.
Yeah, because I think Ginnivan's up, Ginnivan's up there, the Wiz. But again, that's just kind of like small forward excitement machines. Sicily's definitely right there. I think Harry Dean will probably get there just because everyone will end up hating the dude and he's a ginger.
But he's got a face that you want to punch, but you might be a bit scared to because he's got that crazy ginger look about him that he could, he doesn't look much, but he'll drop you before you even notice he's done it. I think, look, perhaps if he doesn't play on your team and he's playing against your team, you want to punch him in the face. So as an Essendon supporter, he's always been one that you're like, shut up, you little midget. But small person.
Shea Bolton's one for me as well. I just that just goes back to the Richmond days but again, very, very talented and sort of has has the pelts on the wall at least. But yeah, you sort of need someone almost from like if someone was like really, really mouthy on like West Coast or Richmond or the Dons or something like that, and they're just like not that good, but just really annoying. There's like a lot of pests out there still, but yeah, you sort of need the Stephen Milne sort of type. But it is weird that we just keep sort of naming small forwards like for the vote.
It's no coincidence. Yeah. I think I'm definitely going to have to bring this one a bit more to this one because I love this. It's awesome. So thanks, Davey. But I don't think it's.
Yeah, I think we can do the top 5 most punchable faces.
I think we could probably do the top 5 for each team. But no, I think there's a bit more to this one, Jim.
I like it. Right. Round 20 preview. Really interesting week, obviously, as we head into round 20 with 5 games remaining on the schedule for everybody. The 8-point games are everywhere. The ladder shaping games are everywhere. And this is where footy is just awesome. There's I love the creamy middle of the season as it's sort of all getting figured out. And these, basically I reckon usually between rounds 18 and 21 are usually the most fun because they're just the permutations of, that each result will have on the ladder are awesome because basically once we're done with the buys, we can sort of just go, right, this is where this is all going. And if you look ahead, Like you're looking in your crystal ball that little bit, and you're like, ooh, maybe. Oh, it's a lot of that. So good times. And we start off with an absolute belter, 5th versus 8th, as Adelaide are 14.5-point favourites against the Pies. We've got a bird bowl, Jez, to kick off Thursday night footy. Thursday night footy. Who are we taking, Crom or Pies?
I'm going to take the Crom, Jim. I have
I
no
got to do it
faith
as
in
well.
them winning by that, but I just think that they are. When I can't decide, I just go with how much better of a side on paper they are, and I think they're easily a 3 or 4 goal better side on paper. So that's what I'm rolling with. There's my thought process for all you out there who are clearly wondering.
The Pies are that good, but I think at Adelaide Oval, it does have that thing where they could super duper keep this close, or like we've seen the Crows just take it to like really good teams, especially of late. So I'm sort of leaning towards the Crom.
We've also
Losing
seen
Fog
them
does,
bottle it.
yeah. So
Well, they do
it
have
is
a
a bit of,
straight up replacement in Tex. Just saying.
yeah. The Pies do at least
No,
get Jeremy Howe back.
Ooh.
I'm going to go Collingwood plus 14.5. Go the Pies.
Yeah.
I got to make
I've talked him
a
into
lot
it.
of. I got to make up 9 picks somehow. So I'm going to start having to just go against you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to go Collingwood plus 14.5. Jez got Adelaide. My heart's probably with the Crom, obviously, because I hate the Pies, but I don't know. They just will stick in games, right? So here we are. Yeah. Friday. Melbourne,
this
Geelong.
Is a good one.
What a ripper of a game. 6th versus 9th. Nice. The Demons, 1.5-point favourites at the G against the Cats. This is very, very interesting.
Jeez.
Unbeaten at the G this year. I'm going to have to go Melbourne. I feel like the Cats it's a little bit off the boil for me. And maybe Oisin can slow down like Cozzy. I don't know who he goes to, but I think the Demons are just a little bit better. So at the G, go on the Demons. You, Jess?
I'm going the D's as well. They've got a good record against Geelong too. So I'm I've got no reason to go against them. I think that's it's probably an appropriate line because the D's, as we've mentioned several times, we didn't think they'd be anything this year. So you're still waiting for them to fall, aren't you? And it just isn't happening. But yeah, I'm sticking with the D's.
That's nice.
That's one you won't be getting.
That's it. The last time they played was down at Taxpayer Stadium last year, 85-46. Yep. The time before that, the Demons beat them. So see how they go. We've got Freo West Coast in the Derby. 42.5 favourites against the Eagles. Jeez. These teams are we understand that there's no love lost between those two. There is quite a gulf in talent between 1st and 16th on the ladder, however. So the Dockers belted them 97-41 earlier this year. Yep. Belted them last year, 126-77. Belted them the time before that as well, Jess. So I'm just saying, I think I can trust the 42.5 for Freo at home. But I'm going to go with the West Coast Eagles to keep it closer. Let's go. Come on, Eagles.
Well, I was actually going to take the Eagles because I think that they're but I'm not. I'm going to take Freo because I want to give you, I'm a generous fella. I want to give you a chance. So this is either going to be a 3 or 4 goal win to Freo because I think they're coasting and I think they know that they need to conserve energy for the tough run home. And this one, there's a matchup within this, and I hope they do it. But the read-off, I want to see Murphy on Harley. I want to see them go head-to-head, and I hope they do it. And I think it's going to be awesome because I love watching both of these two.
That's a great
Absolutely
call.
love it.
Carlton Gold Coast. I'm taking the entire family of this one. So first game for the youngest squid. It's like 1:05 Saturday, I think, which is a really good time for a game of footy, if you ask me. So I think the Blues are 6.5-point favourites against the Suns, which is fair-ish at Marvel. I think they squeeze out this win. I'm going to go the Blues. Question mark?
I'm going to use your 28th parallel analogy and go with the Blues. I think Gold Coast are cooked. Something's NQR up there, and I think that the Blues are probably going to have a pretty I think that line's too low. So I'll go the Blue Baggers.
Yeah, I took the I think I've been to the last two games they've played, both at Marvel. One 2 years ago, the older Squid and I went to, and it was a really good game. The Blues sort of eventually sort of kicked away, and you're like, oh God, thank the Lord for that one. And then last year, I went along with a mate of mine, and was like, I don't really care if the Blues win this one. I'm just sort of going for the Suns. And then we're sitting there with the Suns cheer squad. It was awesome. The Blues lost. Never I hope. It was horrible. It was an absolutely brutal game. They were kicking our heads in, and then the Blues suddenly woke up, and you're like, oh, geez, this would be pretty good if they win. And of course they fell short. But let's go the Blues there. Line in the sand, 53.5-point favourites. The Hawks over your bomb raise there, Jez. Flying high, the Bombers. I think the Hawks beat them by 100.
Well, I am flying high on the back of the greatest win of all time on Sunday. So I think we're going to keep it close because I think the Hawks will put the cue in the rack at halftime when Lewis has kicked 10 and they're 80 points up and will manage to drag it back. So I'm going to stick with me Bombers with absolutely no evidence to back that up.
It's at the G. They're going to get killed. GWS Sydney, the Derby. The Derby? I don't even know which one.
This one's the
anymore.
Derby.
Derby.
The Battle of the Bridge, Jim. The Battle of the Bridge.
Not even it's not the Harbour Bridge either. It's the weird other one, the Anzac Bridge that goes out the other way.
Yeah.
Famously, Gold Coast completely gacked, not Gold Coast, GWS gacked up a, huge big game to the Swans. What was that? Elimination final, qualifying final a couple of years ago. Amazing stuff. Every time this happens. And you have to go Sydney, don't you? I mean, but GWS is just, it's a 10.5-point line. The Giants are underdogs. No Toby Green. I got to go the Swans.
Yeah. The no Toby Green really is going to hurt for them because for some reason, this game he loves. And however, I'm going to go for the Giants because I think anything's possible with this team and there's every chance they could win by 6 goals and Cadman could kick 5 or Clary could have 58 touches. So, yeah, put me down for the Giants. Why not? I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Not the one 9 beers down.
No.
The 2024 qualifying final was that game. That was just the most ridiculous bottling
I
of
think
a
I
budget.
remember watching it and going, what the actual...
I think the Squid and I were in Brisbane because we're up there for the Carlton Lions elimination final where we got our heads kicked in that time and we were watching that at a pub because responsible dad. And just like, what is going on? This is amazing. Anyway, then we've got the Dogs Richmond, 41.5-point favourites are the Dogs at Marvel. It's a bit of a weird one. The Dogs against bad teams haven't exactly been smashing them, but they have smashed Richmond pretty handily.
And they play Marvel
the last couple of times they've played them. They do. So 130, and like the Tigers, I don't think do at all. So 135-56, 133-42 the last 2 games. 126-71 the time before that. I'm going to go the Dogs here, Jez. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same.
Tough one for the Tigers. Then Sunday, we've got the Lions hosting the Power, 38.5-point favourites. And, yeah, you figure that if this was at Adelaide Oval, the line would be a lot shorter and you'd be tempted to take Port Adelaide, but I am taking Brisbane minus 38.5. I think they curb stomp the Power up there in Brisbane.
Yeah. I'm going with Brisbane too. I think they'll have this margin tucked away by half time, and then they'll just coast much to the same as what they have done.
Then we've got the really, really, really tasty one. So, talk about ladder shapers. This is North versus St Kilda as the final game of the round. With the Roos, this is the classic 8-point game, right? You slap St Kilda with a loss, you go ahead of them with a win, or the Saints just go marching into the top 10 a game up on at least North Melbourne and probably the Blues, GWS as well. So, 13.5-point underdogs, the Roos against the Saints. What do you reckon, Jez?
I'm going to take the Roos just because I want them to win, because it keeps that bottom spot to, well, let's be honest, it's the four of those teams are fighting for the bottom spot in the 10. It keeps it interesting for another week. I think the more teams that drop out of contention, the less interesting it becomes. So for North to obviously have any chance of getting there, which, as you mentioned, they've got a pretty tough draw, they've got to win. St Kilda, when the pressure's on, they're really, really good at shit in the bed. So I think I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious when St Kilda lose games they should win, and Ross Lyon will come out with some absolute hurler for us to talk about next week. So that's what I want. So that's what I'm gonna manifest it, Jim. Let's go Roos. My uncle, my dear Uncle Andy up in heaven, he was a Roos supporter. So I'm jumping on board the Roos this week, and they're gonna do it for me, Uncle Andy. I'm using whatever I've got, Jim.
Nice.
Ooh.
See, I want the Roos to win. It's the 13.5 that worries me. Because it screams to me the exact same game as the St Kilda Port Adelaide game from a couple of weeks ago that Port Adelaide lost by 14 points, which is why I think this is a 13.5-point line. I'm going to go the Saints. I think they just sneak over that 13.5-point line with a win. And there we go. Yeah, so after a big week for you last week, I think in just about all the ones that we had different, you managed to nail, and I got completely wrong. So you're now 9 beers up on me, 85-76 with 5 rounds to go. So, yeah, this could easily blow out to like
slab, boys and girls. Could I make it a slab?
Woo-wee. Slab would be cheaper than me buying you 9 pints. I'll tell you that much. Jesus. So, anyway, Slevo's Punters Club for this week. What are we doing, Jez? Last week I had Harry Mackay 3+, Charlie 3+. Charlie was absolutely nowhere to be seen for the Swans against the Crom in the West. He kicked, 2 points, I reckon, and did nothing else. And H obviously was out very early in that, or else he probably would have had a pretty good chance to get his 3. But, if my auntie had a dangly bit between her legs, she'd be my uncle. So instead, I think I'm going to have to go Ben King. We might go the two-way, Mitch McGovern 2+, and the Ben King 3+ against the Blues. I think McGovern usually is pretty good at the G. At Marvel, maybe a little bit less so, but I think without H, they're going to have to go to him a little bit more. So Mitch McGovern 2+ into a 3+, maybe, along with a Ben King 3+. What do you reckon, Jez? What's yours?
Oh, well, I had Dacos 30 and 2 goals last week. I'm not sure if he got the 2 goals, but he definitely got the 30. I am going to go with...
He did not. He had 0 goals.
Yeah, but he definitely had the 30. I'm going to go with the Bont to have a big one. I'm going to go with him to have 30 and 3 against the Tigers.
Nice. Not bad. Don't mind it. Like that a lot. Because I think they go absolutely ham on them. You could almost throw Norton in there for a bunch. Cody Waitman could be the one who has a big game as well, maybe. Just a sneaky look. But yeah, there you go. Is that it? I think that's it. That is the round 19 wrap, the round 20 preview episode of Footy Unfilterated. I think the funniest thing is we've just lost Jez. And there he goes. He's back. He's made it back on. Remarkable gear. Just for the outro, it is, 5 rounds left. I'm back from holidays. This is all awesome. Jez, are you excited?
I'm pumped, mate. I'm pumped. 10 oath.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the baby squid thinks about being at the footy.
That'll be gold.
So, it's going to be a big weekend. Can't wait. Yeah. So make sure you subscribe across all your podcast apps, your YouTube, jump in the comments, send us through some more DMs of any nahs you want answered. Next week, we will deep dive into the most punchable men in the AFL. The most punchable man in the NBA has been like the Austin Rivers Award for years and years and years. The AFL, look, the Tom Papley Award is right there for him to win, but we'll do a top 5 each. Should be pretty good. Maybe a Mount Rushmore, so top 4 each or something like that. But either way, make sure you're getting all around all the YouTube and all the podcast apps and, of course, the socials. But that's it. Until next week, stay off the rubbish gear. It's Footy Unfilterated. What do you reckon, Jez?
Sounds good, mate. I have died and gone to heaven.
We'll see you next week.